We live in an age of extraordinary energy. We can split atoms. We can harvest sunlight. We can capture the power of wind moving across entire continents. And yet, there is one problem we still have not truly solved. We cannot store energy efficiently. Every modern city depends on a constant flow of electricity. Lights, hospitals, servers, transportation systems, all of it runs on energy delivered exactly when it is needed. The entire grid is built around balance. Supply must match demand in real time. Too much energy destabilizes the system. Too little causes blackouts. And that is the central problem. Electricity is not easy to store. Unlike water, which can sit inside a reservoir, or fuel, which can be stored in tanks for months, electricity behaves differently. It must either be used immediately or converted into another form. When a solar panel generates power at noon, that electricity must go somewhere. If no one is using it, it is wasted, unless it can be stored. This sounds simple. It is not. To understand why energy storage remains difficult, we have to step back and think about what electricity really is. Electricity is not a substance. It is movement. It is the flow of charged particles through a conductor. The moment that movement stops, electricity ceases to exist. So storing electricity does not mean putting electricity into a box. It means converting it into something else. Most commonly, that something else is chemical energy. Batteries are the most familiar form of energy storage. Inside them, chemical reactions occur that allow energy to be stored and later released. Lithium-ion batteries, the type found in phones and electric cars, represent one of the most important technological breakthroughs of the late 20th century. But even lithium-ion batteries have limitations. They degrade over time. They lose capacity. They rely on materials that are expensive and geographically concentrated. And they store far less energy per kilogram than fossil fuels. Gasoline, for example, contains an extraordinary amount of energy in a small volume. That is why vehicles powered by liquid fuels can travel hundreds of kilometers without refueling. Batteries, by comparison, are heavy. Storing large amounts of electrical energy in battery form quickly becomes expensive and physically demanding. Now scale that problem up. A single city consumes enormous amounts of electricity every hour. Storing enough energy to power that city overnight, when solar panels produce nothing, would require massive battery installations. These systems exist, but they are costly and limited. Wind energy introduces another complication. The wind does not blow consistently. Some days are calm. Others are powerful. If wind turbines produce excess electricity during a storm, that energy must either be used immediately or stored. Without storage, renewable energy cannot fully replace fossil fuels. This is why energy storage is often called the missing piece of the renewable revolution. But batteries are not the only option. One of the oldest and most efficient forms of large-scale energy storage is pumped hydroelectric storage. When excess electricity is available, water is pumped uphill into a reservoir. Later, when electricity is needed, that water is released downhill through turbines, generating power. It is simple. It is effective. And it is geographically limited. Not every region has mountains or suitable terrain. Building large reservoirs requires space, infrastructure, and environmental trade-offs. Other technologies attempt to solve the storage problem differently. Compressed air systems store energy by forcing air into underground caverns. Later, that air is released to drive turbines. Flywheel systems store energy as rotational motion. Thermal storage systems capture heat in molten salts. Each solution works. None is perfect. The deeper issue lies in physics. Every time energy is converted from one form to another, some of it is lost. Heat escapes. Friction occurs. Chemical reactions are not perfectly reversible. This means that storing energy always involves inefficiency. If you convert electricity into chemical energy in a battery, and later convert it back into electricity, you do not get 100% of the original energy. Some is gone. Scale this inefficiency across entire power grids, and the losses become significant. There is also the issue of time. Energy demand fluctuates constantly. In the morning, demand rises as people wake up. In the evening, it peaks as lights turn on and devices charge. Renewable energy production does not always align with these patterns. Solar panels generate power during the day. Wind may peak at night. Without storage, the grid must rely on backup power sources, often fossil fuels, to fill the gaps. This creates a paradox. We have clean energy generation technology, but without efficient storage, we cannot fully depend on it. There are experimental approaches that aim to break this barrier. Some researchers are exploring hydrogen as a storage medium. Electricity can be used to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen can then be stored and later converted back into electricity. But hydrogen storage has challenges. It requires compression or cooling. It is less energy dense than many fuels. Infrastructure for transportation and storage remains limited. Others are researching new battery chemistries, solid-state batteries, sodium-ion batteries, flow batteries. Each promises improvements in safety, cost, or capacity. Yet each faces engineering hurdles that take years to overcome. The reason we still struggle to store energy efficiently is not because we lack intelligence. It is because we are constrained by the laws of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. And every change introduces loss. Modern civilization runs on the assumption of constant energy availability. We flip a switch, and the light turns on. We plug in a device, and it charges. We rarely think about the infrastructure required to make that possible. But behind every outlet lies a balancing act. Power plants ramp production up and down in response to demand. Grid operators monitor frequency and voltage in real time. Tiny mismatches can cascade into widespread outages. Efficient energy storage would transform this system. It would allow excess renewable energy to be captured and deployed exactly when needed. It would reduce reliance on fossil fuels. It would stabilize grids in developing regions. It would reshape global energy markets. And yet, despite decades of research, we are still searching for the ideal solution. Perhaps the challenge is not purely technological. Energy storage is also an economic problem. Large-scale battery installations are expensive. Infrastructure projects require investment, regulation, and political coordination. Markets must reward long-term resilience rather than short-term profit. In some ways, we have learned how to generate energy faster than we have learned how to manage it. The sun delivers more energy to Earth in 1 hour than humanity consumes in an entire year. The resource is abundant. The difficulty lies in capturing it at the right time and holding on to it until it is needed. Storing energy efficiently means mastering time. It means bridging the gap between abundance and demand. And that gap is where physics, economics, and engineering collide. The future of energy does not depend solely on generating more power. It depends on learning how to hold it. Until we solve storage at scale, efficiently, affordably, and sustainably, our energy systems will remain dependent on constant production rather than intelligent management. We have built a civilization powered by flow. The next step may require us to master stillness. Because in the end, the problem is not that we cannot generate energy. It is that we have not yet learned how to keep it.